At the end of the day, your comportment is the most important thing. Welcome to McBain Moments. Alright, as always, before we get started, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the manor. Make sure you take a moment and subscribe down below. We are on the road to 13 million subscribers, one subscription at a time, so make sure you subscribe. Also, if you like my work, please consider becoming a patron. Go to patreon.com/JulianMcBain, link is in the description. Comportment. For those of you who don't know what comportment is, it is your poise. Your ability to remain calm under stress, especially when everyone else is losing theirs. You see comportment the most in fencing because it's considered a requirement. In most other combat sports, and esports for that matter, it's not a requirement, it's just considered good. In fencing, it's a requirement. And for a couple of reasons, because if you lose your poise when you're fencing, you could seriously hurt someone. But on top of that, it is a marker of a good fencer. And so what does that matter to anyone else? Well, comportment also matters in Eastern martial arts. If you take karate or kung fu or judo, any of those, your ability to remain calm under stress will determine how successful you are when you're in a sparring match. This is also true of soldiers in the field. When calm under fire, there's no difference. It's all comportment, just different terms. Because if you're in a stressful situation and you're losing your shit, you're not going to be able to process what's going on well enough to actually do anything about it. Another thing to keep in mind is comportment's also your grace. It's taking the loss when you lose. Because when you accept the fact that, hey, this didn't work out so well. Why didn't it work out so well? What did I do incorrectly? You take responsibility for your losses. And you determine what you can change to reduce the chance of a loss next time. Because anyone can beat anyone else on any given day. It doesn't matter whether they're a total rookie or an expert. I've seen people who have never picked up a sword before and go and manage to punk a master in the head. Had to find the right term. Just punks him right in the head. On their first day. And yeah, the master's kind of leaving openings and stuff, but it was an easy thing to block, and they usually do. And they're not expecting it. And so, the same thing occurs in esports. For those of you who play in esports, which is something I have recently managed to fall into. When you're in a match, and all of a sudden you drop, think about what you might have done that made you lose. And I mean, there's always going to be some issues like server errors, clipping issues. You know, for whatever reason, their perspective was clear and yours wasn't, so you weren't able to hit them, but they could hit you. I'm not talking about shit like that. I'm talking about maybe you weren't paying enough attention to what your surroundings were. Maybe they were able to get a good headshot on you. Maybe you didn't take the time to find what you needed in order to beat that opponent, or maybe you underestimated them. The point of it is, your initial reaction is probably going to be one of surprise, and that's fine. In fencing, we have learned that when you get hit, the proper reaction is to say, good! And that overrides the notion to cuss, to get upset, because we have to acknowledge the blow. And that moment of acknowledging the blow, and I'm going to try doing this in my esports games. I'm going to see if it works. I'm going to try to anyway. But the The moment of acknowledgement overrides the propensity for us to get upset about it, at least in the short term. Now, we may be upset about it after. You know, we may be upset at ourselves because we should have been able to block it. We may be upset at our opponent because the shot was too hard. We may be upset at the situation because maybe the floor was slippery. It doesn't matter. But, good. And then you process, and you go, okay, I got hit because my weapons were out of position. Because I was at the wrong angle. Because I wasn't expecting a move like that. Or if you're in esports, I did not realize they were behind that door. I did not listen for their footsteps. I got too excited and didn't check my vectors before I moved on. They had a good ambush point and I didn't pay attention. Comportment, when under stress, will take you from being mediocre at something or intermediate much further toward mastery than bluster. Think about it for a little while. Comment below with what you think about it. This has been a McBain moment.